Let's start with a simple observation. Nothing is more dated than being timeless. Today's designers don't just borrow from history, they resurrect it in pixel, perfect, emotionally calibrated form. You see this every time you scroll past a mid-century modern phone case or watch an app switch to a CRT filter. These aren't just aesthetics, they're emotional shortcuts. We trust what feels familiar, and nostalgia sells that trust at a discount. Fisher calls this the nostalgia mode, a design aesthetic that lives in a time warp, like an eternal 1980s or 1930s, untouched by decay. It's not about remembering. It's about repackaging memory into something marketable. Think of it as cultural cosplay for consumers. Wear the past to feel safe in the present. This mode precludes actual historical engagement. You don't analyze the era, you consume its look. This isn't homage. This is appropriation on a brand's terms, where the past becomes a logo, not an experience. The line between reverence and exploitation gets lost in the design process, because the goal is never to rekindle history. It's to compress it into something sellable. And so we get retro as default branding language, a pastiche of radical styles emptied out for commercial use.
The year 1958 in America marked a pivotal shift in global power dynamics as the launch.
What if your phone doesn't just store memories, but fabricates them? Designers today don't simply mimic the past, they engineer memory as a user experience. From Instagram filters that dust your selfie with film grained to AI, generated handwriting in digital letters. We're handed curated artifacts before we've even lived them. This is nostalgia, not as recollection, but as interface, something you interact with, something you trust because it looks familiar, feels real. The modern obsession with retro design echoes mid-century packaging's emphasis on visual identity as a form of persuasion. Think cigarette boxes, cereal containers, anything that told you not just what was inside, but who you could be when you consumed it. Today's digital products do the same. Grain and warmth don't make your Instagram post better. They make it feel like something from your own past, already trusted. Fathers knew it. Nostalgia isn't just feeling for the past. It's a strategy of design, built on two layers. Studium, your cultural interest in something, and punctum, that jarring detail that pierces you personally. Designers now know where to place both. They offer you the studium of an aesthetic, but it's the punctum, the cracked vinyl texture, the slightly off, kilter font that hooks you emotionally. Just this week, an AI-generated film called Dreams of Violets hit the headlines. It cost $2,000 and took 2 months to make, a fraction of what it would take using traditional methods. But more than that, it wasn't just efficient, it was emotionally effective. The grainy texture of old celluloid, the soft focus of vintage lenses, even the slight flickers in lighting, all programmed into an algorithm to simulate the look and feel of authenticity itself. What we're seeing is not a tool for efficiency, for something real. The commodification of nostalgia has entered its next phase. What was once limited to curated aesthetics, record store vinyl, retro fashion, or analog photo processing is now being mass-produced at scale through AI models trained on decades worth of cultural artifacts. These systems don't just replicate the look, but simulate the experience. Handwritten notes with ink smudges, weathered paper with tear lines, even the soft static of analog video signals. It's not about remembrance anymore. And yet, the paradox is clear as these tools become more sophisticated and accessible. Authenticity itself becomes a feature that can be programmed, bought, and sold. The emotional response we once reserved for genuine artifacts now gets directed at algorithmic fakes because they look like memory. This isn't just about design anymore. It's about perception. We no longer trust our senses to tell what is real from what is convincingly rendered. And in that gap lies the true market, not goods.
Modern packaging does more than wrap and hold and conceal. Stunning in color, ingenious in design.
Let's talk about authenticity, or what we pretend it is, anyway. Nostalgia isn't just a filter over memory anymore. It's being designed into our tools and interfaces to create the illusion of something real. This doesn't preserve history so much as it replicates its surface, repackaging sentimentality as sincerity. Just as early synthesizers and MIDI gear allowed musicians to blend human creativity with machine precision, today's AI tools are engineered not just to replicate sound, but sentiment. The line between nostalgia as memory and nostalgia as effect becomes dangerously thin when the past is no longer remembered, but programmed into our experiences.